My name is Leo Connors, and welcome to The Ring and All Other Sports. Tonight, I got a very special guest, Joe Moakley, professional wrestler.
Oh, yeah.
How are you?
Hey, it's good to see you, Leo. It's been a while.
You too. Yeah, looking like $1 million, you know?
You got to dress to impress. You know?
I hear it. He walked in, and I went, oh, man, now I look like a bum. That's all right. I always look like a bum. All right, Joe, let's get right into the fan questions.
Yep.
Anthony Mark Balkas, who we were just talking about off here, Great kid. What's your opinion on the Celtics? You think they can win the whole thing this year?
They'd have to really step on themselves to lose it at this point. You know, that once Denver got knocked out, I think that was right. Pretty much, you know, they should be smooth sailing. It's going to be tough against Indiana because of the run and gun offense, right. You know, but I don't see them having trouble with Dallas or Minnesota on the other side.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope they win. My girlfriend, that's her favorite sport is basketball. Mine's hockey, you know.
Speaking of hockey, I'll tell you right now, not Bruins related.
Yeah. Yes, I saw you went to, yes, please plug them, man.
Yeah, so I went a few weeks back to the Professional Women's Hockey League. Right. I didn't even know it existed. It's an inaugural season. I happened to see them. I was sitting at the bar grabbing some food, and they were on the TV, and I Googled it up, and it's a Boston team. It's like, oh, this is great. I'm going to take my son to go see some hockey. Right. You know? So they play right in Lowell, right at the Songus Arena. Went there. Awesome game. Nice. Crowd was alive. Right. You know, the girls fierce. They fight. You know, they dig in the corners. Nice. Like, you know, like I couldn't say enough good things about them. I'm going again tomorrow actually, because they won their game that we went to against Montreal, and then they won 3 straight against Montreal in the playoffs. Nice. Yeah. So they swept Montreal overtime first game, triple overtime the second game, and then overtime again for the third game. And then they just played Minnesota yesterday. Yeah. So watching them, and back and forth game, it was like 1-1, 2-2, 3-3, and then they finally went up 4-3, and then they held it. Wow. They've got an amazing goalie in Boston too. Yeah. Like she stopped 56 out of 57 shots in that triple overtime game. Wow. Like I'd sign it to the Bruins right now. Yeah, no doubt. She can back up Swayman maybe and play too. Oh yeah, yeah. No, that's amazing though, because I always say to people, because hockey's my favorite sport, I could watch 9-year-olds play. So it looks like I should look into this women's team. It's an excellent sport. Like I said, you know, you walk into the Songus Arena and you're going to see women's professional sports, and you're thinking you're going to walk into like WNBA style, where like a lot of empty seats, people there just because they got nothing to do. You walk into the Songus Arena, you get green shirts everywhere. Nice. Like there's kids, there's women, there's men, and everybody's loving it. Like everybody's behind this team, and I couldn't believe how quickly it happened. Nice. You know, being this is their first season, but couldn't say enough good things about them. You know? That's awesome. I'm glad you plugged them then, because they deserve it, obviously. Oh, absolutely. And like I said, I saw your post. Yeah. And I was like, wow. And you were right. That I think the Bruins lost that night too. Yep. He said this is the only Boston hockey team that's going to win today, and you were right. And listen, I love the Bruins. Swayman was amazing. Yeah. You know, you can't win without a number 1, number 2 center. It's impossible. No. It really is. You know, we're not tough enough against Florida either. When push comes to shove. But I still love the Bees. Oh yeah. And I know you do too. Yeah, I like the Bees. You know, but yeah, those women have my heart now. Right. No doubt. And now what's the name? The Boston? No, it's a funny thing with the women's professional teams. Yeah. They just have city names. Oh, okay. So the Boston team. They all have identical looking style jerseys. Right. And they just say Boston, Montreal, Minnesota, New York. So it's kind of good, you know what I mean? Because they don't have like team names yet. There's only 6 teams. Yeah. But the fact that, you know, they all just have just their city. Right. So that's who they're representing. They're representing the city. That's pretty cool. Yeah. That really is. All right. Well, Anthony's got another question. All right. Do you miss APW? I know the fans miss you. Yeah, I'm sure they miss booing my ass. But I definitely miss APW. You know, it's come a long way, and I'm glad that it's still going. You know, that was my biggest thing that I was happy about when I stepped away, was that, you know, just keep things going. Yep. Keep it going. And Mike is doing a good job. He's keeping, you know, he's running the shows, man. Yep. He's due to come on again soon too. Yeah, I think he's. I don't have him booked, but he's. Michael, hit me up. Year 13 now, I think it's going into. Wow. Because we started in 2011. Right. So yep, wow. 13 years. That's awesome. Yep. All right, I'm sure we'll be talking a little bit about that down the line. Joey Kilmartin
Any thoughts or itches to get back into the ring?
Well, like I was telling you earlier,
Yeah.
my gear bag's packed. My boots aren't up on a shelf. Like somebody calls me and I got the time, I'll happily put them back on.
Nice.
I'm in the best shape
All
of
right.
my life right now. So,
Yeah.
just give me a call.
Yeah, promoters, come on, pay attention right here. All right, Uncle Eddie Hunt.
Yeah.
What was it about the fire hall that leads so many to say that it was their favorite place to work?
Well, the Newbury Fire Hall is where we started APW back in 2011. Supposed to be just 2 shows. We did this because me and Big Woody wanted to have a match against each other. We had trained together, we came up together, that sort of thing, and we never got to have the match that we had planned on. So in order to do that, we're like, we'll just run a couple shows. We'll set it up in the first show, and then we'll do it on the second show, and we're off and running. After that second show in December, this little boy comes up to us. We're standing around the ring. He's looking at Big Woody, and he goes, "Hey, when are you guys coming back?" He's all excited, and Big Woody goes, "Oh, I think this is it. We're probably done." The saddest face of that kid. And I looked at Woody, and I'm like, "We got to keep this going."
Right.
And then we just kept it going. And I think because we're the only company at that time where the workers would come in, and we'd hand them an envelope. Here's your payday. They weren't waiting until the end of the night to see if the door was light or whatever, because I wanted all the guys to be at ease when they came through the door. Like, don't worry about your pay. Your pay's in your hand. Just go out there and have a kick-ass match and tear the house down. And there had been wrestling in that area for so long that I think it was just due. And because the whole atmosphere in that room, because everybody was so at ease, it was just light. You know what I mean? So you walked in there and you just knew you were going to have some fun that night.
Nice. That's awesome. And because I've heard it from people too, it's amazing that they love that building. Caleb Evans, why did you and Michael Morse part ways?
So this is a bit of a personal story on my behalf, but I was going through a divorce back in the end of 2020, start of 21. I was living by myself, drinking more than I should have been at all. Every single night I was going home and drinking. I'm living by myself. I see my kid twice a week. It was brutal, and my head was not really in it. So, and Mike saw that, and Mike was getting ready to step away because he could see that, I wasn't right. So the best thing for APW was for me to step away, and me and Mike decided that, it's better because he had things going on. He had a good hold on things at that point. People knew who he was. He wasn't new to the business anymore. And I said, just keep it going. That's all I'm asking for you. Just keep it going.
And he has.
And he's been doing a great job.
Yes, he has. Absolutely. And he has another question. Who was the one? This is the one I asked you earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Who is the one individual in wrestling that you absolutely despise the most? Shoot hard. This, he said.
All right, here you go. The name, and it's probably the same name for a lot of people, Mr. Todd Sopel.
Oh, bingo! Ding, ding, ding!
There came to a point in, Todd worked for me for a long period of time, but there was a point after we left the fire hall, we were working out of the Boys and Girls Club. It was a very down time for APW because people just thought we had closed, didn't realize we had moved locations, so everything was a little up in the air. People started wanting to retire. Lewis got hurt, he tore his Achilles. John Poe was like, hey, this is going to be my last year. Stiff Mike retired this is one of his 5,000 times he's retired.
Sorry, Mike, we love you, but.
Hey. But so he says he wants to retire, so he and Poe wanted to have a match. That's what came about with me putting the title on myself, which pissed Todd off. Sorry, Todd.
He did it after, He put the belt on himself.
Well, that's the thing.
In his company.
So he started running his mouth around the company, around backstage. So I called him one day and I was like, listen, I don't need you anymore. I'll send you your payday, but you don't need to show up. And, and then he went off on me online and all that sort of stuff. Fine. I don't really care. Water on the bridge. But, he was so full of himself, believing that he was the only person that should be elevated. And it's like, I have all these guys. I got these great people here. But the funny thing about me putting the title on myself, I never beat anybody. I was unconscious
Oh, that's how you did it.
Stiff Mike comes down to the ring,
Right.
jumps John Poe, plants him, and then puts my lifeless body on top of him. So I never beat John Poe.
Yeah.
I just happened to be in the right place at the right time.
Right.
And then after that, every single title defense I had, I got disqualified. So I never beat anybody.
Right.
And that was the best way I could do it because I shouldn't be beating anybody. Like, all these guys should be kicking my ass. So I'd hit somebody in the nuts or,
Right.
hit him with a chain, whatever it needed to happen.
Yep.
As long as I kept the belt, but I didn't win a match.
Right.
And I never won a match the entire time I was champion.
That's wild.
And the whole time I was keeping that belt was because the plan was to get it onto Danny Miles.
Yeah.
And we couldn't get Danny back until April of the following year.
Yeah.
So there was a period of time that somebody needed to carry the belt.
Right.
And
And that was a pretty good thing you're doing, though.
I was like,
It's-
yeah, let me do it for a little while. People hate me anyway.
Right. Absolutely.
I said, I'm never going to win a match. It'll be great.
Yeah.
I'll handpick my opponents. I think I picked Ike one
Yeah,
time.
I love Ike, too.
I think I picked Johnny Vegas another
Yeah.
time. Hunter
I love
Ward,
Johnny, too.
Hunter
Sorry,
Ward,
guys.
Hunter Ward we fought. Actually, Hunter Ward was the kid I fought when I lost the title.
Okay.
Not to Hunter Ward. He and I had a hair versus hair match. And I got disqualified, but I was still the champion.
Right.
So in my eyes, I was still the winner.
Yep.
So we shaved Hunter's head, and then Danny Miles comes out, and I shake hands, give him a big hug because we're the glamorous ones at that point in time.
Right.
Da-da-da. Doesn't let my hand go, kicks my ass, cashes in his open contract, pins me. He's the new champ,
Right.
and then they shaved my head. So that was a great night. But that's exactly like I have a long vision when I plan out matches and angles. Like I'm an actor,
Yeah.
and so I plan. Okay, this is where we're going to start with the hero and the villain.
Yeah.
And the villain's got to get over on you.
Right.
And then eventually the hero's going to get
Right.
his in
Right.
the end.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that's how it's always been. And a lot of people, they rush things.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I always had like the slow burn. I'm like, no, just hang on.
Right.
I know it's red hot.
Yeah.
We're going to make this thing white hot.
That's
There
you go.
And that's the problem I had with Woody at one point in time because he wanted to put the belt on John Poe. And Poe was chasing Brian Malonis at the time.
Right.
Two phenomenal workers.
Right, absolutely.
Two of the best in the business. And Woody's like, I don't know, we should probably give him, I told him he was going to be the champion. We should probably do it. I said, nope, just keep hanging on. Keep hanging on.
Yeah.
And we kept screwing Poe out of it. And by the time that he actually pinned Malonis,
Right.
the building erupted.
Right.
And that's what you want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You want people that invested.
Yeah.
So.
And John Poe was an invested wrestler too, though. I mean, you know what I mean? He gave you 110%.
Nicest guy, and he could work anybody.
Right.
He worked. Remember the kid Jeff? He used to work down at the Belltime Club. He's a little special needs, autistic kid.
No, Gabriel?
No, his name was Jeff.
No,
yeah.
I'm not.
But
Maybe. I don't remember.
If you saw him, you probably would.
Yeah.
But we're doing this outside show, and we got Jeff. He's going to work John Poe.
Right.
And John goes, what are the three things you do well? And he goes, I do this, I do this, I do this. He goes, okay, we're going to do those three things.
All right.
And they had a great match.
Yeah, right.
But that's the kind of pro John was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like he said, what do you do? Okay, we're going to do that.
Right. That's awesome.
Because then you're comfortable.
Yeah.
Because you're not.
Which he must have been petrified with the size
yeah.
of John Poe.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. I mean, John Poe's got me a couple times. So.
Oh, man, he's a big dude. All right, listen. Big Jim Sargent. Big gun.
All right.
Do you miss it?
Yeah, I miss
It's
it quite a bit. It's once it's in your blood, it's hard to get it out. And like I said, I never really stepped away on my own kind of terms because of the way that I was just my mental state wasn't well. But like I said, I mean I think about going down and hit up one of these training schools and just to test it out, get back in there. But sometimes it's just. Wait for that call.
Right, here you go. Hey, again, promoters, make the call. The Big Gun says also, if you could do it all over again, would you change anything?
Would I change anything? I probably would have. I started out at Wrestling Star Wars back with Knuckles Nelson down at Salisbury Beach. That's where I started my training with Big Gun. And at one point, very abruptly, about three and a half years in, Knuckles closed the door, sold his ring, sold it to Astro Man, I think, and just closed his door. And at that point, I'm like, all right, well, where do I go now?
Right.
Thinking back on it, I wish I had followed everybody else and gone to Chaotic.
Right.
Because that's where Louis went. That's where Slick was going. That's where Eddie Edwards, Tony Delfonso was down there. These were all guys that worked in it's Wrestling Star Wars, but they all went to Chaotic or they were training at Chaotic and worked for us. And I kind of wish I'd got out of my own comfort zone and explored that avenue.
Yeah, it's got to be hard though. Too. I mean, I'm not a wrestler, but I mean, intimidating type of thing when you try to go somewhere new where you don't really know anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I had just had my first match against Rush.
Oh, no way.
Which, the funniest thing about Rush, do you know what his real name is?
Antoine.
No, it's Bobby Dagger.
What?
Guy's
Bobby Dagger? That's a great wrestling name.
I know, and he goes by Rush.
Wow, you're talking Rush is Tony's partner, right? Tony Roy.
Yeah. Yep.
He's
he was a big dude.
Yeah, Tony's a big dude, too.
Yeah.
All right, Chad Epic, how has wrestling changed for the better?
I think it's more inclusive now. It's before guys my size, guys the size of Kid V, who was in here as a guest, kids that size, we didn't get really looked at or brought in unless you were 6 feet tall and weighed 200 pounds. You weren't getting a whole lot of action. They might throw you in as a ref, maybe a manager if you could talk, but you weren't getting in the ring.
Right.
And now I feel like it's definitely more inclusive. You know what I mean? So, I mean, not that everybody should be doing it, but at least everybody has the opportunity if they have the skill set.
Nice. On the flip side, how has wrestling changed for the worse?
Again, with the whole all-inclusive thing, I think it's become very, very watered down because there are just so many companies in a 2-hour drive of each other.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Try to count them now. There's probably 15 within a 2-hour drive of here.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt.
So, yeah, I think that's a big downside.
Okay. Bare Knuckle Burley. Where did the pinky up come from? Also, thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything. Good man. You was here a couple of weeks ago.
Gotta love Bare Knuckle Burley.
Yeah, no doubt.
Pinky's up, I believe. I think that was a Danny Miles thing.
Really?
Yeah. I think it was Danny Miles or Lizzie Havoc, but I'm pretty sure it was Danny Miles because he was running with we were the glamorous ones, and we were doing the whole. He was doing the adorable gimmick at that point in time, and he went overboard on that thing, but it was beautiful. One of the best guys I know. You know what I mean? That's the best thing about working at APW is I met a lot of good guys, and they were a lot of good guys, and a lot of good guys that I owe a lot to there. And he's absolutely one of them. And he happened by accident. He just kept coming to the shows, He had his gear. Yeah. And Kyle Huntley was supposed to be my partner originally. Okay. And he couldn't make it one night. I said, Danny, you got a nice shirt on you? He goes, oh yeah.
Nice.
So I put him in there, and he was debonair Danny Miles at first, and then he took on the adorable gimmick.
Danny can work. I went to a big time show, right? He worked Jay Lethal. Yeah. It was the night that the Briscoes there, the SAT was there, and the Hardy Boys were there. They had a 20-minute match, went to a draw. They both said that they've done this before, and the next time they face each other, it's got to be for 60 minutes. And I pray that they do this in Webster, because I want to be there for that. Because those guys, I'd watch those guys wrestle all friggin' day.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Danny Miles, like I said, he can wrestle them up and it'll look good. So
listen, right now, he's one of the best wrestlers in New England, along with Big Bacon Brad Hollister. I saw him work Thursday night. Yeah. Unreal.
The biggest problem that's happened with a lot of these guys, they're so good, but they're just not tall enough.
Right.
Like I said, it's more inclusive now, but at the same time, they're not looking at guys that are my height, 5'9". Right. it's just, even if you got a build to you, you still got to have some height to you.
I will say this: they give independent wrestlers a look, but they still go more for the guy that played football but can't anymore because of his bad knees.
Yep.
You know what I mean? The girl swimmer.
Yep.
And it kind of stinks. It takes away from the wrestlers.
Oh, yeah.
In jobs.
Yep.
But they at least do give some indie guys looks. Alec Price got a look.
Yeah.
With
NXT especially, like I feel like they definitely open the door a little more so. Our friend Christian Casanova,
wow,
Carmelo Hayes,
baby.
But like I look at guys like that, guys that have walked through my doors at APW,
right,
that are now, working at the big show.
Yep.
Hanson worked for me. Tommaso Ciampa worked for me.
Nice.
Dijak, I think I gave him his debut match.
He was a bartender in a segment before he wrestled, right?
Yep. And then we made him the Yugoslavian nobleman.
Nice.
And he was like, yep. And he took it on, ran with it. He bought Yugoslavian tights.
No.
I was like, wow, I appreciate it, man. But he puts himself in everything. Like Chris is an amazing guy.
Right.
He's a great wrestler. Like you said, Christian, when he first came in, he was running cameras for us and running audio because he wanted to get through the door.
Right.
And we're like,
right.
Sorry, we don't have anything for you this month.
But he would show up.
And that was the thing. Like, if
that's how you get booked,
up,
like you said, a lot of times.
Yeah, you just show up and you help, and you don't care if you get booked. Yep. Like, you're going to get noticed,
right.
And, we knew what Christian could do,
right.
but we just didn't have the room for him. But we made the room for him, And
Kid's
he was
a special
fantastic.
talent.
He is great.
Special talent.
Yeah.
And, I love how they're putting him in the ring against Cody and Randy now.
Yep.
All it's going to do, like I've heard a couple of friends who were like, bitching about it. Why put him in? I'm like, listen, it's only going to make him better.
Oh,
they're doing this because they have an idea in their head, I bet.
Oh, yeah.
About Christian.
Yeah, I mean.
Carmelo, Christian.
Yeah. and the fact that he's grouped up with Sean.
Yeah.
Like, those two are just going to click because their styles are so similar. Yeah. So I think the two of them are just going to be like, I'm sure Carmelo is like in his brain and like nitpicking everything.
Oh yeah, I would imagine
what about this, and because that's just who he is. Like he always wanted to know, what can I do better?
Yeah.
Like I said, great kid.
Right.
And and I appreciate the fact that like I said, guys that I know are living their dream.
Yeah. And it's amazing, though, the WWE had the guy by the name of Dijak and then tried to change him into all kinds of different things, only to come back to Dijak, which was perfect in the first place.
Yeah. But he ran with it all.
And people ask me, though, it's like they'll say, how come CM Punk could keep his name, but this guy couldn't keep his name? And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I'm like, how am I supposed to know that,
Yeah.
All right, so back to the fan questions. Joey Kilmartin's back. How did he first get involved with APW?
I think I talked about this earlier. APW became kind of as an accident. It started under the Wrestling Star Wars banner,
right?
Because we were just going to run those two shows, and Knuckles Nelson's like, "Well, I'm not using it anymore. Why don't you guys run as Wrestling Star Wars?" Because we didn't have a name at that point.
Right.
It's like, "Oh yeah, it's not bad." So we ran as Wrestling Star Wars for the first two shows, and when we started back up again, we kept going with Wrestling Star Wars, and then. Me and Knuckles had a little bit of falling out.
Yeah.
It happens between us
from
time
to
time.
It happens.
But I love him to death. He showed me, everything he could. So we, like I said, we had that little bit of falling out, and Woody and I tossing back names. I'm like, what do you think? Atlantic Pro Wrestling. You know what I mean? It's where we are.
Right.
And we ran with that and just kept going. And
excellent.
Still going today.
All right. Just so at the time Wrestling Star Wars, he had put it in parentheses. I know he was a huge part of its revival. Well, there you go, Joey. Joey's awesome. I love Joey.
Oh, yeah. He was fantastic.
His dog likes me, too, but then doesn't like me. You ever been around his dog?
No.
Bailey?
No.
Oh, yeah. We're going to bite you, then she'll want you to pet her. She's crazy. She's a woman. No. Andy Miller. You know Andy?
I think so, yeah.
He's a big fan. Who are your favorite indie wrestlers today? That's a great question.
Wrestlers today. I really like the Neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like, I happened to go to an APW show. Mike brought us in to do one of those Battle Royal things.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Didn't go quite as he had planned. I would have done it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
But it went how it went. But we got there early, me and Hunter Ward, and we're just messing around in the ring because we knew we were going to get in there a little bit later.
Right.
And neighborhood comes out, they're watching. That's how Manny got his finisher.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was Hunter Ward's old finisher,
Nice.
the hollow point. So Hunter's doing that to me in the middle of the ring. He's because we hadn't done it in a while, so we're testing it out, doing it. And Manny's like, man, that is a great move. He's like, can I steal that? Hunter's like, well, after tonight, I'm not going to use it. So, hey,
that's
go for
awesome.
it. Love to keep it going. But yeah, those two, and again, it's funny because a lot of kids that came up in the way they came up, not going at Chaotic to train.
Right.
But now they're the Chaotic Tag Team Champs.
Yeah, I love to see that.
So I like the fact that Chaotic's kind of opened it up now too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because before it was very, very closed off. You were either a Chaotic trained student and you went on the Chaotic shows, or you're a Chaotic student and we'll send you out to other shows to get your feet wet, and then you come back and then we'll use you regularly. But they never usually brought in guys that trained with Gallo or trained at Scott Reed's school or that sort of stuff.
That's great to see.
Yeah. So I definitely like that.
It is, and congratulations to the neighborhood.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, Andy has a second question.
Yep.
If you were to wrestle one last match, who would you want your opponent to be?
So I've had a lot of matches with a lot of people that I, wanted to get in the ring with. Like I had a wrestling match against Luis Ortiz. Yeah. Because I had a birthday party. Did this demon driver and broke my back. I keep busting his chops on that one.
Yeah.
But so I was glad to be able to get in the ring with Luis. I've gotten in there with him a few times because he was one of my trainers. Right. Towards the later half of my my career here. But at the beginning of the career, like I said, Knuckles Nelson was my trainer. And I never got in the ring with him. And I've always I always try to push him hey, what do you think? One more match, buddy. One more match. You and I would go out there and toss him down. But he's not biting.
Yeah, he's not biting. I think he's done with he's done with in the ring. I mean, I think he's always gonna love wrestling.
Oh yeah. He's like I said, it gets in your blood and it's hard to get out.
Book's good. Did you read his book?
Yep. Did read his book.
Really good book.
That's why I think he's more into the yoga now than he is wrestling. Yeah.
No, but good guy, because I didn't know him at all, man, until he came on when I met him. That's what I mean. I would see him at shows, but I didn't talk to him. I'm not a wrestler. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I mended the bridges with Knuckles.
That's awesome.
Because Big Gun was going to have his retirement match. Yeah. And so I got a hold of Knuckles online. I was like, hey, listen, I think it'd be really cool, and we won't tell Big Gun about it. The only two people we're going to know are you and me. Right. I said, but what do you think about coming in and being the special referee for that match? Yeah. And
I was there that night.
Yeah. And as like I said, Hunter Ward was the commissioner at the time. Yep. Was in the middle of the ring, and Big Gun was going to wrestle Jake, in that street fight. And and Hunter Ward, as commissioner, says, you know what? I think we need a little bit of a special referee tonight. And then Knuckles' music hits.
Ah, yeah.
Like, you couldn't see the face on Big Gun, but I bet he was smiling under that mask. So
that is awesome. So Mav, if you had to do it all over again, what would you avoid? I guess that's kind of like the last question that was asked like that, but a little different, I guess. Is there anything that you definitely wouldn't do?
I think the biggest thing is, as much as people knew that I was the owner of APW, they didn't realize how much control I had. Right. Because I had put Big Woody into a position as being the booker, because I had the wife, I had the kids. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. I didn't want to be on the phone, trying to reach out to people, book people, and get people in the building. So he was everybody's go-to, and he kind of became everybody's go-to. So when they got to the shows, not realizing that nothing went through APW and got approved unless I said it was approved. Right. And I don't think a lot of people knew that. They thought that everything went through Woody, and what Woody said was gold. So I think one of those things, I think I would have made myself a little bit more apparent that I was,
absolutely,
I was the guy that's,
I'm financing this thing, baby. Yeah,
but more than that, Woody and I would sit down and we, and with Uncle Eddie, the three of us would get together and we'd plan out, the month's worth of matches. Right. You know what I mean? So it was a three-way, collaboration.
That's awesome.
That a lot of people didn't realize was happening.
Right.
You know.
I actually always say that like someone will say to me, what do you think they should have for bookers, even in the, like, not bookers, but agents or whatever, and trying to get matches or whatever. You should have a fan, a real fan, a real guy wrestler.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And a real writer.
Yeah.
And then I'm telling you, you put them in a room and see what they can come up with.
Well, that was the benefit with me because, like I said, I have that acting background. And
Yeah.
I've done, I've been on film sets and that sort of stuff. So, like, I knew, like, how I wanted things to be pictured and how to lay them out. So, like, okay, we're going to stretch this out. It's going to take 4 months, and we're going to do this in month 1, 2, 3, and then the payoffs in 4.
Right.
And I could run through that sort of stuff with Woody and Ed, and then we talk it out how it's going to look in the ring, because Big Woody had a great mind.
Right.
Uncle Eddie's got a great mind.
Oh, definitely.
So it's like, and that's how it would always happen. And
Yeah.
like I said, few people probably knew how invested the three of us were in doing that stuff,
That's awesome, though, that it was a 3-man thing. Like I said, I always say that to people. You should have at least, instead of just one, you should have a couple.
Yeah, if you've got one guy doing everything, you have the problem Vince had.
Yeah. Yeah. Not good. All right. The last fan question is Anthony Mark Balkus is back. What was your favorite APW storyline that you yourself was in? Thank you, Anthony.
I have to say it's the glamorous ones.
Yeah.
That kind of came about, kind of stole it from Knuckles Nelson because they were back in Wrestling Star Wars days down Salisbury Beach. They were the Fabulous ones with Johnny Fabulous.
Yes.
And I was like, hey, let's be the glamorous ones. we'll just be these pretty boys. You know what I mean? We don't want to get our faces hurt. But
who was your partner in that again?
So it was me. There was a few different guys at different times.
Okay.
So originally it was me and Kyle Huntley.
Yeah.
And then Kyle Huntley couldn't make it to a couple shows, so we ended up replacing him with Danny Miles.
Is he related to Larry Huntley?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So we swapped out Danny Miles. Best thing that could have happened. And then we started expanding a little more. Brought in Mike Pava.
Yep.
Mike Pava taught me one of the best lessons I ever learned when I wrestled in one match. Simplest thing, I'm coming off the ropes. He goes, whoa, stop. Look up. Oh! So I look up, slaps me across the face.
I love those moves. That's from like the midgets.
Yep. So then, he bounces me off the ropes again, and I go, whoa, 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 and I look,
and he
slaps me again. And I was like, and something just clicked with me there. I was like, Jesus, I don't need to go doing all these crazy moves. I can just do stuff like this, and people love it.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I thank like people like him, working with me. We had Buddy Romano in there at one point in time. We had Justin Silence in there at one point in time.
Yeah.
And like things kind of like went a little crazy where I kind of peeled away from the glamorous ones and started joining the organization.
Okay.
Brandon Webb, Evan Six, Justin Silence came on that one as well. Who else do we have? We had Alex Creed at one point in time, but I kicked him out.
Yeah.
I kicked him out kind of Booker T style when Booker T was part of the NWO. Remember Sean's out there talking all four of them and he gives him the sweet kick.
That's awesome. All right, Anthony, thank you again for your couple questions, everybody that asked questions. I don't know, is there anything like you want to talk about, like any promotions, any indie wrestlers, anything?
No, I mean, like I said, I think I got, a lot of the guys, that are in the big show now that, are just doing great. I think a lot of it, too, comes down to the fact that Vince isn't in charge anymore.
Exactly.
And they've got, a business, the TKO business that watches everything. Because I think they're more apt to listen to what the fans are saying. And I think that's what happened with the whole Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns thing, because Roman was going to wrestle The Rock, Cody was going to wrestle Seth, which would have been a killer match.
Right.
But the fans are like, what are you doing? He's supposed to wrestle Roman, da-da-da-da. And they got chirping about it, and WWE changed their tune and went, no, we're going to give it to you.
Another year.
Yeah, we'll give it to you. Here's Cody and Roman, and Cody dethrones Roman. Like I said, it's the good guy taking out the bad guy.
Yep.
Nice slow burn, and it worked out. But like I think that's big, is that they've got a team of people that listen to what's going on, rather than here's the Godfather.
Triple H, a bunch of people's got his ear. obviously. You know, he's got things in place. You know, George Carroll.
Yeah.
He works down at NXT.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I mean, it's not just wrestlers. It's George got there by hard work. You know, working for different companies and moving up the ladder, and it's great to see him there.
Oh yeah. He used to come down to APW a few times, and he'd just look at the guys and see what's going on. I bring him in with we do a seminar with Malonis, or we had a seminar with Mike Hollow came in and did one, and George would come down and watch the seminars, and just to get a look at all the people that were actually attending this, trying to make themselves better, and he'd pull them aside, give them little tips, and it was great to have him there. He's got such great knowledge for the business. He really does. He's a student of the game. He is.
Yeah. No else works down there too, and I know he's good friends with them. They must work great together. Steve Carito's down there too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I was a huge Carito fan.
Yeah.
Not just the ECW stuff too. But he was a little crybaby type. You know what I mean? When he was skinny and friggin' 19, 20 years old, everybody hated him. But honestly, he became a great wrestler.
Oh yeah,
too.
yeah. He's another good one. Yeah. The indie stuff, like I haven't followed it as much. I went to an APW show probably a couple of months back because I had to go do something. I saw a lot of the guys that were still there from when I was running things. I saw Vern. I'm so happy Vern's back.
Yeah, me too.
Got his shoulder all fixed up.
Vern, hit me up.
Yeah, Mike McCarthy was there.
Nice.
Bumped into him.
He was here about 3 months ago.
He's a phenomenal worker too.
Incredible worker. One of the best going. Off air, I can tell you who I think is the best. I'm not going to do it on here because it might piss some people off, maybe, but I don't know. Yeah. But there's a lot of great talent.
Oh yeah,
in New England.
Yep, there's definitely a lot of great talent. Like I said, Raina Devaney Vixen. She was my last match that I had, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was me versus her. We were running an angle where I was the manager for Danny Miles and Mortar.
Yeah.
And we were trying to get them. They had a whole thing going with Nightbreed at the time. We were trying to work it up to the final match, casket match.
Right.
And Gallo, love him to death, but man, he's like, I don't know, you guys keep making us look weak. We keep losing. I was like, yeah, but you got to see it. You get we're building to this.
Right.
I said, once we get to this, and you guys slam that coffin closed with those two inside, I said, this building's going to erupt because they've been waiting for this to happen for months. But he got upset, and he talked to Setherin. Setherin's talking to me, and I'm trying to be the middleman, and I'm like, Gallo thought that I was only doing what I was doing because I was listening to Danny Miles and Mortar, and I'm like, I'm not listening to them.
Right.
I'm listening to everybody.
Yes.
But you gotta.
This is the decision I made.
You gotta see the whole picture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't just see
too bad.
your little part in it. But he's running the school now, which I think is great.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So, he's giving back to the business. That's for sure.
Yeah,
I think he even has a teenager class.
Yeah, he does. He does.
Which is fantastic.
Yep.
It really is, because I'd much rather see a 15-year-old being out of wrestling school to be learned to be trained than messing around in the backyard trying to do it. And I think anybody that loves wrestling wants that.
Well, you go back to wrestling Star Wars days.
Yeah.
I think Eddie Edwards and Tony Delfonso were both 15 and working at Chaotix. So. I think they embellished a little bit on their ages.
Yeah.
Oh no, we're 17.
Yeah. Eddie's been gone so long. He was never around for me to ask him to do the show. He's been gone for so long. Great worker though, Eddie.
Oh yeah.
Still working for TNA.
Yep.
Killing it. There's so much independent local talent. What's her name? She was in Killanova. Tasha Steeles.
Oh yeah.
She was. I think she's from New York, but she came down here to wrestle.
Yeah, like I brought Jordan Grayson a couple times back when she was first starting out.
She's awesome.
We did the whole thing with Danny Miles when he was doing he was the intergender champion.
Yeah.
So all he was wrestling was women.
Yeah.
And so we had to bring in women that could, work with Danny.
Could work.
And, so we brought her in. Sweet girl.
Yeah. She can wrestle too.
Oh, yeah. And now, and she is really devoted herself to her physique.
Yeah, she's
and, everything.
Huge.
I was so
not
happy
huge.
to see
I'm sorry,
her.
not huge.
So happy to see her in the Royal Rumble.
I popped huge for that. Maria's looking at me. Who's,
Oh, yeah.
And Jordan Grace. We got about 8 pitches with her between me and Jisaiah. What do you mean, who's that?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right, we can play a little of the name game. Eric Sprazier.
Eric Sprazier, I knew him back from Wrestling Star Wars days because he was part of the Boston Bad Boys with Knuckles Nelson.
Yes.
So I met him, down there. Big dude.
Big.
But yeah, back then I was the music guy.
Yeah.
So I was just the guy like, and back then I had to find CDs from everybody.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
they had to bring in the music, and they had to tell you what track it is and everything.
Yeah, track. I had 2 Discmans over there. I'm trying to like balance between the 2 of them. Oh man, it was a wild time, but I did it really well. That's why Knuckles was so he met me at a Knuckles met me at a New Year's Eve party.
Yeah.
And I brought my DJ equipment to the New Year's Eve party. He goes, "Who's all this equipment?" I was like, "Oh, it's mine." He goes, "What do you think about writing music for a wrestling company?" I said, "Sure." So that's how I got started.
Nice.
That's how I got started in the whole business was because I knew how to write music.
What are you doing next Saturday?
But I was so good at it, like Knuckles knew like I'd have everything under control.
Right.
And like if something went wrong, he knew to leave me alone because he knew like how pissed I'd be. Because,
Right.
If somebody gave me the wrong disc or it's out of order or something, because I got to get the rundown, and then they change something on the rundown, and they're like, and they'd be like, "That's not my music." I'm like, "This is what I have in front of me."
I'm sorry,
and
dude. Get out there.
I'd shoot him a look, and Knuckles go, "Get the fuck out there."
That's all right. And just so you know, Eric Sprazier, I still want you on the show. I'm going to say it every time his name's brought up.
Yep.
All right. How about referee Tony Stevens?
Tony Stevens, really great ref.
Yeah.
Funny as hell, man. Like we're at a show and arguing with him about counting 3. You know what I mean? Like, listen, can't you count to 3? What are you, an idiot? He goes, "Excuse me, sir, I have a PhD." And couldn't help but crack. Like,
right.
You just have to turn and just walk away because you wouldn't expect it. But yeah, totally got broken.
I'll see him in August at the gathering.
Yeah.
You know what that is? It's not ICP gathering. It's
no.
It's wrestling.
Okay.
You bring up, they have 24 super ticket guys. You get two pitches. No, 2 autographs from each super ticket. Then they bring in vendors. And you should see the lineup this year. Like, they're bringing in Jerry the King Lawler, bunch of people that I want to meet.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? I love the King.
Yeah.
I've been a fan for 51 years.
Yeah, that was one of the sad things about me. Like, when I was a kid, when I first loved wrestling, Jimmy Snuka was like my guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? When I saw him jump off the top of the cage, like my eyes got big.
Yeah.
And he never worked for me. Which was, I always wanted to bring him in because I always wanted to work him.
Right.
You know what I mean? And just to say that I did, it's, I had a lot of favorites. Mr. Perfect was always a favorite of mine. Shawn Michaels is always, big favorite of mine. A lot of these guys have passed now. We brought Tony in a bunch of times. Tony's a great man.
Yeah.
I was on a show up in Worcester, and Wrestling Hunter Ward, and we had this spot planned out. But the ring was a lot taller than the rings we had normally been in.
Okay.
It's like this thing was like 3.5 feet, maybe 4 feet off the ground. I'm like, wow, that's a long way down.
Yeah.
So the spot was, he was going to super kick me in the face while I'm sitting on the top rope, and I was going to bump out, do the old Kowalski
That's a big
bump.
drop.
Yeah. I said we were going to scrap it, and I was
Right.
like, you know what? No, let's just do it. So I go to do the Kowalski bump and miss the apron, come down, all my weight on my one leg, and I hear a snap. And I'm like, I'm like, you're out there wrestling, so you don't feel pain at that point in time.
Right.
I just knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
Went to go stand up, my foot goes backwards like this, and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm tired. What am I
done.
supposed to do?
They pull me to the back. Luis Ortiz pulls off my boot, and my foot just drops. Like he just. Tony's sitting next to me, talking to me. Like, he's like, yo, you gotta stay easy, man. You gotta stay easy, You gotta get a blood clot, go to your brain and freaking kill you, man.
Yeah.
I'm like,
relax.
Thanks, Tony.
Thanks, Tony. Tony's funny. Good guy, though. I'm looking forward to seeing him. He goes down there with the whole LPW crew. Chris Sullivan and Big Jim and Anthony.
Yep.
All right. How about Ivar?
I've
as we might know him as Handsome
yeah,
Johnny.
like I said, I know him as Hanson. You know, he was great. Like we had an outdoor show for Newburyport Yankee Homecoming. We had run that like several years in a row. Luckily, we got pretty good weather most of the time. There was one time we had the downpour.
Right.
Got pretty well rained out, but we had him coming in to work. I think he was working Lewis probably at that time, because usually if we had somebody coming in like that, you know, we have him work Lewis. You know, and they had a great match. You know, we had this one store. It was called the Black Duck, and they donated a bunch of sandwiches to us. And you know, Hanson's over there, throws about 4 of them in his bag before he leaves. But yeah. It's like,
that's a wrestler move, though. Because when I used to cater for shows, I used to, you know, they'd be like, hey, I'd hook them up. Because, I mean, I was bringing like $300 worth of food.
Oh, yeah.
And I was getting paid double that in merchandise.
Yep.
So, I mean, it was a win-win, you know, for them and me.
Yeah, yeah.
And then whatever was left over, I gave it to Tony DeVito and Loke, as they like headed the ring crew.
Yep.
So they would sleep overnight. They'd hit a strip club. I hope it's not, Tony's wife's not watching. And I mean, you know, we'd go to a pizza place, you know, but yeah. And they always had food for after they left the place. They would have some food to eat.
Yep.
Very, very cool guys.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna stick with this kind of theme. Kofi Kingston.
Kofi, love him. I loved like when it was Kofi working with Xavier and Big E.
Yeah, the New Day.
Yeah, New Day. Yep. Like that was phenomenal. Kind of reminded me a lot of like what I was doing with the Glamorous Ones at a much lower scale. But like, you know, out there just having fun, causing some chaos, you know, that sort of stuff. So, you know, it was good. You know, but like I said, it was great having APW and having all these young guys, you know, walk through our doors and have these killer matches.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't bring in a whole lot of guys that already had names. We had Bull James come in, nice guy,
right,
great guy.
Yep.
He came in. Fandango, Dirty Dango came in at one point. This was after I left though, but Mike brought him in. Who else do we bring?
Yeah, Hot was still there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At that time, for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it was great having, you know, that kind of knowledge in the locker room. You know what I mean? And just be able to suck all that in.
Yeah, and Knuckles told me nice little stories about the same kind of thing you were just talking about, and with wrestling Star Wars, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we had Tito down there. We had all kinds of guys.
No kidding,
wrestling Star Wars. Yeah.
Nice. How about I'm gonna go with a local kid now, and he's pretty young in the business, but he's doing really well. Alec Price.
Yeah, you know, I had seen something about somebody looking for a worker to play somebody in a TV show, I think it was, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but Alec like would have fit the role perfectly. And I was like,
right.
I was like, I'm tweeting it. I'm like, online. I was like, yep, Alec Price. Like, kid's great worker. Great worker.
Seriously, he's unreal.
Yep.
And there's a lot of good workers right now.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about some more of them. How about Ichiban? Have you seen Ichiban?
I don't think I have yet. No.
He's a master. He's a master young man.
Yeah.
Comes down.
You did all this?
Yeah.
I think an Astro Man.
I think he's from Slick, but I could be wrong, and he could be from Paul Roma and Mario, right?
Oh, right.
So I don't know where he's really from, and I don't want to misspeak. That's all.
Yeah.
But really good, man.
Yeah, I'll have to check him out.
Smaller guy. I'm telling you, you'll like him. He's really good. TJ Crawford.
Good kid. Yeah, I've seen him work too. Like, he reminds me a lot of, I think he worked with, what's his name down there? No, that's going to slowly space my mind. But no, I've seen him work, because I think he worked a few like Proving Ground shows at one point in time, and came up with guys like that. And great kid, great worker.
Very, very good work. If I'm not mistaken, he comes from Creative Pro, which a lot of great wrestlers. MJF.
Yeah.
The Alien. Statlander.
We had her in.
Yep.
She worked an APW show.
Yep.
She wrestled Vanity Vixen, and like, man, like, sorry, I was sitting backstage, and Chris Statler was sitting next to me. I couldn't even focus.
Right,
I'm just
right.
like, this woman is beautiful.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, like stunning, and can work her ass off.
Yeah, doesn't it look good though when you can go, oh, and she kicked my ass? No, I'm just messing around. Yeah. How about a kid I saw Thursday night, right? No evil eye. First time seeing him live in a long time. Big Bacon, Brad Hollister.
Man.
And what I saw Thursday night should be on television.
He definitely should be on television.
Really.
We had a triple threat match with, I think it was him, Anthony Green, and Luis Ortiz.
Wow.
So
yeah,
those three right there
were
just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And they all knew how to work. You know what I mean? Because triple threat matches are difficult because you've always got somebody who's kind of either left out.
But you didn't get nobody with an ego at the time.
No,
you know what I mean? They're all willing to make the match.
But they all knew how to make it work. You know what I mean? They knew, hey, we bounce this guy out.
Yep.
He says he's outside for a while. We do our thing, and we bounce somebody else. You know, we do our thing.
Yep.
And like, again, it was one of those shows like, you know, the thing about APW too was like there were so many times where you had the fans just like chanting, "This is awesome," and it's like, and like you just sit back there in Gorilla and you just look at look at the guys and you're like, "This is what we did."
Yep.
Yeah.
It's amazing, but he really did. He looked that good.
Oh yeah, he's been phenomenal. He got hurt for a little bit, wasn't he?
I don't know if he got hurt or if he stopped.
Yeah.
I know he ended up having a baby.
Okay.
Like, yeah, well, you know, he had a son or a daughter. I don't remember. I'm sorry. Yeah. But, but he's back now.
Yeah, I thought he had a shoulder thing, but I may have been mistaken too.
Right.
But
man, honestly, he really did look that good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Again, like I've seen him against Mike McCarthy, and like they tore the house down.
There's another couple names I definitely want to bring up right now. How about Channing Thomas? Timmy Thunder.
Yep. And
it's come a long way since Timmy Thunder.
Timmy Thunder. I remember Timmy Thunder. He worked for us too. Yep. Us Timmy Thunder for a while. But like he developed this Channing Thomas persona, and like he's really taken it on. He's really grabbed a hold of it.
He's killing it too.
And like I said, like I think he's going to be like one of those guys. He can go to an AEW or NXT and just continue to flourish.
Yep.
You know. Another AEW guy, George All.
Yeah. Yep.
And he is one of the best people you'll ever meet.
Right.
Like during COVID, he's delivering groceries to elderly people. You know what I mean?
He's a good man.
It's like
he really is a really good man.
He's just he's a good person.
Yeah.
And he's a kick-ass wrestler, but like he is a good person.
Looks like $1 million.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Which is, is what a wrestler wants to look like. As good as you can. And he looks like $1 million. He has a pizza place in Nashua.
Yeah, I saw you post that the other day.
You got to go check it out. It's the old 7-Star Pizza right across from CVS. All right? And tell him Leo sent you. But he's a great guy. He hit me. I'm gonna, next time I go, I'm going to hit him up first so I can say hi and stuff.
Yeah,
He's a good guy.
I saw your post when you were there the other day. And he's like, oh, sorry, I was at the other location because you don't want to Danvers too, right?
I think it's North Andover.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, because that's what Dave Fortier told me.
Yep.
Dave Fortier went in the place in North Andover, and he was in there. You know what I mean? That's how he knew he owned that one.
Yeah.
And then someone told me he owned this one, so I went up. And I asked, I said, is the owner here? And they said, no. I said, can I ask you a question? She goes, what? I said, is the owner a pro wrestler too? She goes, and she looked big smile. Yes. I was like, all right. So when I got my food, I just said, hey, can you just tell him Leo came by and said, say hi? He's a good guy, man. Good man. Local business, got to support him. Oh, and the food was great.
Absolutely. Like I said, like I always want to support guys people that are like that, people that are just naturally good people.
Right.
And like I said, I think the world of him, and I hope everything amazing happens to that guy. You know what I mean? Like, he's doing great in AEW.
Yep.
I wish WWE would give him a shot because I think he would kill it.
Oh, absolutely. He would. He would kill it. No doubt. All right. How about the Miracle Generation?
Miracle Generation.
Yeah.
Who are these guys?
That is Dustin Waller and Kylon King. Tag team from Connecticut.
Yeah, I know Dustin. Said he worked a lot of the Proving Ground shows when I was down there.
Right.
I did a couple as a referee at one point, and we actually rented out.
Todd's a good dude. So.
Yeah, Todd's great.
I love Todd. Todd's a good dude.
They let us rent out that Elks Lodge at one point in time because we wanted to do a ladder match, and we didn't have the height for it.
Right.
Wherever we were, like, do you mind if we rent this out on a Saturday night? And they're like, come on in, rent it out. And we filled the place the same as they do.
Yeah.
Which is great because I think they just love wrestling in that area.
Yeah.
And we were able to have the ladder match. It was Belmont. Against Angel Sinclair.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I love Angel.
Yeah. I miss both of them. Like I used to see that every month. So
I saw Angel at the Jefferson Airplane concert.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I saw a poster on it, and I'm like, I'm here. And then I'm just sitting in my seat, and all of a sudden I feel like, and it was her and her boyfriend, nice guy. Said hi to them for a couple minutes,
Yeah.
But it was, she's a great girl.
Oh, yeah.
And our widow is amazing.
Yeah, she was fantastic. Like, again, another person you could put Belmont in there with anybody, and she'll get the best out of them.
Yeah. All right, let's just try a couple more new names. How about Ricky Smokes? He comes from the New England Pro Wrestling Academy.
Yeah, I seen him. Like I said, he's good. Charlie Cashew. I don't know if he's still going by Charlie anymore, but like the two of them were coming up around the same time.
Right.
I don't know if we ever got Smokes in, but I know we got Cashew in a few times. Always wanted to bring him in. You know what I mean? Like, he's just one of those kids. He's gonna set the crowd on fire.
Yep. Absolutely. How about Brad Baylor?
Brad Baylor, not familiar.
No. He's new, but he's good. I think he comes from Paul Roma and Mario Mancini. I'm pretty sure that's where he comes from.
That's a good school too,
Yeah. Only like 40 seconds left. Do you have anything you want to just address or say to anybody?
No. Like I said, like I'm happy that the company I started back in 2011 is still going strong and still putting on great shows. They expanded. They went out to Derry and have been doing such great things. And like I can't thank Mike enough, just because like I said, like I was a pain in the ass at one point in time where I just became too much of a mental liability, and I wasn't focused enough, and it kind of was, it was making everything kind of uneasy in the locker room because people could see that like I wasn't myself. Right. And Mike saw that, and Mike didn't want to be a part of that, and I don't blame him.
Yep. I hear you.
So we get the end here, but
that's all right, Joe. Thanks for coming on. We'll do this again, man. It's a pleasure having you on the show. We're out. Peace. Hi, guys. I hope you're enjoying the show. Listen, I could use a little help to grow my YouTube channel. So if you could please like, share, and subscribe. That's most importantly, subscribe. Send me a direct message, and I'll give you a shout out here on the show. My YouTube channel is real simple. It's just my name, Leo Connors. Thanks in advance. Peace.